As always, please give a very warm welcome to our friends over at Blackwing, and specifically Shamir as well for joining us here today. And yeah, Shamir, just feel free to say a little hello and maybe just a brief introduction of yourself and your role at Blackwing.
Totally, yeah. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here. It's been a while since I've done one of these. A couple months. We've been kind of heads down. We did the big launch. So we launched on Solana um, with liquidation-free leverage trading, and then launched the it's just business token. Did decently well. I don't have the stats off the top of my head, but I think we hit like 25 million in market cap. Was dropped down since then, but still not too bad. Not too bad. Good test of the liquidation-free leverage mechanism. And that product's live right now, by the way, so you can go and like create your own token and launch it. And once it graduates from the bonding curve, it'll have liquidation-free leverage, which is pretty cool. I think that's the only place where once your token graduates, you get leverage enabled on it automatically. So that's kind of where Blackwing was, and that's kind of what we were working on. But our overall vision and goal with Blackwing is to just improve the trading experience, just give people the best way to trade, whether it's providing margin on long tail assets, whether it's providing liquidation free margin on long tail assets, whether it's giving you the ability to create your own assets to trade them. Is just, overall company vision is to build the best trading experience. So we're pretty excited for Initia to launch mainnet, because obviously
Shamir, I think you've gone quiet now. I thought it was just me for a second, but there you are.
I think I had like a call and then I got muted. I think I got cut off at I was just saying, like, recapping that this is what we were doing, kind of heads down there. Pretty excited for what we have in store in the future. Gonna drop some alpha, but that's kind of like a quick what is Blackwing today.
Yeah, perfect. I mean, so the way that I usually do these, because we've done a few of them now, and I think people appreciate a bit of backstory behind the person, because we don't often get to actually speak with the devs, the teams, the anything behind these products, right? So what I would like to do, and what I would like to hear from you, is kind of just maybe a background brush up of who you are, and a little bit more about yourself and your lore, so to speak. What has happened to put Shamir in this position at Blackwing today and speaking with us? How have you come from perhaps your entry into crypto to where you are now?
Totally, yeah. So my background is it's kind of a traditional Silicon Valley background. Was working at Robinhood for a while, almost 5 years. And while at Robinhood, obviously got exposed to crypto. I also went to University of Waterloo, where Vitalik actually went to as well. So Waterloo, it was kind of like the home ground for crypto, I guess, at least for Ethereum. So I was exposed to it a lot there, but never really got into it from like a developer standpoint. Just bought ETH, bought Bitcoin, and eventually one of my friends introduced me to it, who was working in crypto, and I was just like, man, this is like really fucking cool. I remember we were on a road trip in Alaska, and he was telling me about how Uniswap V3 works, and it just like stimulated me, like, intellectually, so that was kind of in the back of my mind, like, oh, this is like a pretty cool space. And then eventually came time for me to like leave Robinhood, spending a lot of time there, and eventually just like got tired of it, needed a change, and immediately I was like, okay, like want to dive into crypto. Did a bunch of explorations in terms of, I was looking at payments first. I was looking at very like different types of marketplaces. But I eventually landed on I met Zoe, my co-founder, and then we eventually landed on building trading infrastructure, decentralized trading infrastructure. We started off with an order book, kind of like a successor to Serum, We ended up building that, pivoted away pretty quickly from there, ended up launching a perps product, which was Blackwing V1. This is like fast-paced perps trading. And then after that, retention for that product looked pretty poor, so we ended up scrapping it and launched Blackwing V2, which is what's live today. And that's a liquidation-free leverage trading product on top of the creator platform. So my entire journey has been basically like, how can we continue to build trading, even at Robinhood? How can we build like the best trading experience? And even today, like the apps that we're building with Blackwing is how can we build the best trading experience for users? And I think it's important to have like a theme as you kind of go through, like your character arc. It kind of helps ground it. So
that's exactly it, man. That's why I like to have these conversations, because I feel like everyone has their own interesting character arc. Do you know what I mean? Like the things that have shaped their point of view of either crypto or the world, and to be honest, the two of them tend to be relatively similar as well. So yeah, thank you for that backstory. I think I don't think a lot of people probably knew about your position at Robinhood, and the the traditional to Web3 kind of transition is always interesting to hear about. So yeah, thank you for that, man. You have touched on it a little, but it's kind of been in between answering other questions. So I think it would be nice to just kind of wrap it up in a bow, so to speak. I'm sure that many of us in here are aware of what Blackwing is, but I think it would be useful to have just that elevator pitch like you were talking about before, right? So what is Blackwing, before we go into any of the details of it, but what is Blackwing to a 5-year-old or to a granddad who maybe hasn't heard of it before?
I think it's a little tough to actually answer that question, because it's going to change with some things that we've been working on for the past couple of weeks, and in a very big way. But to kind of simplify it, and at the risk of being a little bit too vague, Blackwing simply is like the best place for you to trade any asset. And that's always been the vision. We kind of started off, if you go on the product right now, it's limited to assets that are created on the platform. And we kind of initially started off at that point because we wanted to really make sure we were test driving the liquidation-free leverage mechanism. Because it's a lot easier to test with newly launched tokens than it is to test with tokens that already exist, because then you need to go and like actually source liquidity for people to borrow to actually make the mechanism work. But yeah, quite simply, it's like the best place to trade any asset. That's the goal. That's always been the goal, and that's kind of what we're striving towards.
Yeah, perfect. I think that's a nice one-liner for sure to be using in the Twitter marketing you guys are doing. That's it. So there's something that you've said a few times now, and I know why that you've repeated it. I think it's very important to repeat it, as this is maybe one of your USPs, so to speak. But this liquidation-free leverage, why is this so important to you, and how have you managed to achieve this?
Yeah, I think this part's like pretty cool to me, and important as well, just because I've been liquidated before. I'm sure a lot of people here have been liquidated. It's not a fun experience.
I got liquidated genuinely this morning. So. Oh,
really? What was your biggest liquidation?
I don't actually trade too much, if honestly at all. But there's been a little competition, a Christmas competition within Initia, and yeah, it's safe to say that I am last, having been just liquidated for about $500 on Solana.
Nice. We used to have this joke that as part of the onboarding task to join Blackwing, you need to lose like 10K in a liquidation.
Nice. Nice.
Probably a little bit too aggressive. But
I'm sure it's character building for all of you, right?
Yeah, exactly. It adds to the lore. Yeah, so liquidations suck. I think there's a lot of reasons why liquidations end up happening, which, they could be perfectly well avoided. So, for example, market downturn. Market goes down a little bit, and then the next day it's like back up. And then if you got liquidated, you're like done. You're wiped out. So we really wanted to fix that problem. In particular, the inspiration for this came from like back earlier in the year where I wanted to trade Joe Bowden with leverage, and there was nobody offering leverage on Joe Bowden. And it ended up being good that nobody's offering it, but that's besides the point. Like I'm a very big believer in like giving people the tools they need to do what they want to do, versus like say, no, you can't do this because it's not safe. Like I don't like being told what I can or I can't do. And I think we as a society as a whole just need to like be more trusting of people to make better choices for themselves. So, you know, it was like, man, I don't like how there's no leverage here for Bowden. I wish there was. And that, and then also the fact that liquidations suck. We were like, okay, like what if we can like try to solve these issues? And the way we ended up coming about fixing it is this really cool mechanism where you can actually take existing LP positions to collateralize the margin trades. So you can take like any Uniswap or Radium or whatever LP position, take those tokens, and it turns out that through some fancy math, you end up with a construct which gives the user who's providing collateral up to 4x leverage, depending on the type of liquidity used. It can actually be up to infinite leverage, although that's a little bit more difficult to provide. On Blackwing right now, it's 4x leverage. So you get 4x leverage, which honestly for meme coins is like plenty. And then you also get downside protection. So if the price of the asset drops to zero, you actually end up getting your money back. And throughout the entire process, you never get liquidated. So it doesn't matter if the price drops to zero. It doesn't matter if the price shoots up. Like your position can remain open for as long as you want it to remain open for, as long as you continue paying like the fees to compensate the LP who's letting you borrow their LP position. So that's kind of a gist of like how it works. Lots of math behind it. Definitely go check out the docs. I think we do a pretty good job of like explaining it in the UI as well. Like if you want to go and like place a trade, you'll be able to place a trade and like see the P&L chart and how it works. But yeah, that's kind of how everything how the inspiration for the product came to be and like how it actually ends up working.
Yeah, nice. Thank you, man. I think I'm just gonna summarize that just so that everyone really, I want to nail this down because this is pretty huge. It's something that if you are in this kind of space and in this kind of vertical and you have any experience here, you will appreciate kind of how powerful this is immediately. But for those of you who don't, that's why I'm going to repeat this again. Just the ability to get this 4x leverage with genuine downside protection, especially on meme coins for long tail assets that, to be honest with you, most of them trend to zero over a long enough period. Well, I guess that could be said for any crypto, right? But in these longer tail assets, you're talking about months or perhaps weeks or even days instead of years. So to have that protection and no liquidations against it is pretty powerful. And as Shamir was saying, there aren't a lot of options. There are not a lot of options to actually be able to trade these longer tail assets. And in fact, that's a good question for you, Shamir. Why is that? Why is it so difficult to provide leverage against longer tail assets?
It's because there's a lot of risk associated with it. If you try to provide leverage for something, you are acting as a lender, and the collateral that you have as a lender is the asset that the person is buying. So if I'm providing leverage for somebody to go take a position on like, I don't know, fart coin, that coin is very likely to drop to zero, even though I guess fart coin didn't. But as a lender, I'm like, okay, I can give you like $100 loan collateralized by $10 of like USD that you're providing, and I know that $10 is always going to be there, but then the $90 or the $100 that I've given you, I need to be sure that you're able to pay me back. And then if you go and buy like $110 Fartcoin position, if the price of Fartcoin drops below, if the value of that position drops below $100, I'm no longer going to be certain that you're going to be able to pay me back. On top of this, like let's say the price is at like 105 for your overall position. Once I go to close the position, there's actually slippage, right?
Yeah.
And for long tail assets, slippage is a lot more. So even though the current value of the position is 105, once I actually close it, I might actually only get back $80. So as a lender, it makes it like very difficult. Like that, what I just described is why certain platforms will offer you less leverage on certain coins, but more leverage on something like BTC, because BTC is like more stable relatively, whereas something like a new like Dogecoin is not as stable. So Hyperliquid, for example, will give you like up to 50x on BTC, but will only give you 5x on Doge. It's because they're uncertain about the volatility, and as a lender, they need to like manage their risk. So that's why it's hard to offer leverage on long tail assets, and that's really what Blackwing ends up solving.
Yeah, I'm glad that you answered it in that way, because I think again that's another USP that people need to be aware of, because in this particular vertical, there's a lot of competition for you, right? There's a lot of products, there's a lot of teams working on this, and there's a lot of issues, as we've touched on today, a lot of risks associated with this vertical. And I think Blackwing does a pretty good job, man. Does a good job of, I mean, look, there will always be a risk, and that will be my next question to you. But I think you do a nice way of, I mean, it's basically like perps on training wheels, right? You've got your booster seat, you've got your helmet on. You can still kind of get hurt, but the downsides are mitigated for sure. Now, I do usually wait until the end for community questions, but there is a good one here from Fenrir that I am going to ask you, just so that I don't forget about it, basically. He's got two. But the first one, the more important one, I think, is, do the underlying LP/CLMM positions immediately receive the upfront premium when domains are created? And can these positions be extended beyond 14 days?
So we do have the mechanism to actually extend it, but we haven't actually exposed it in the UI yet, because what we want to do is actually implement a queue behind it first. And what this means is that it will allow the LP to withdraw their position. So basically it gives first right to the LP, because otherwise you end up in a situation where the LP has lended something, and then the person can keep.
Getting another call, isn't
he? Yeah, I've been getting paged all day because we're doing like a system upgrade.
Okay.
And I get tagged on all the pages, so that's why. Let me put myself on do not disturb.
I was gonna say, yeah, if you wanted to, that would
cool. So yeah, basically, we want to like make sure the system around LPs lending and rolling over is set up in a way where like we're confident that LPs feel comfortable with it, because the last thing you want as an LP is to be stuck in an LP position that you can't remove because somebody's borrowing it. That's happened to me on another lending protocol, and it's kind of like annoying. I've provided collateral, but I can't withdraw because it's being used. So we want to give preference to the LPs first. So we need to implement that, and eventually that'll be available. So that's the answer to the extending past 14 days. And then the second part of the question, remind me, what was that?
The second part was to do with the limitless pools. Let me try and find it again. Here it is. Will we also be able to trade regular perps without limitless pools as well?
I think there's the other part was, does the underlying LP position immediately receive the upfront premium?
Oh, sorry. Yes. Yeah.
I would need to double check that. I don't remember how we ended up implementing it. I believe it's received after the position is closed. But I'll double check and follow up with that. But I'm pretty sure it's after the position gets closed.
Well, Fenrir, you seem to be someone who has done your research with Blackwing, and well, as I can see, you've been following from the early launch. So if that is a question that you would definitely like to be answered, then feel free to send something in either the Discord or to Shamir himself as well. As I said just before that, I will get to some of the other community questions. I am taking a note of them as we speak. But I think, yeah, we'll keep the structure of the call first, and we'll get to them afterwards.
Cool. I can also let me quickly answer the second part of this question too, since we're here already. It's talking about Blackwing, whether the meme coin launchpad was part of the original strategy or if it was more like a response to recent trends. I think it's like a mix of both. We definitely saw it kind of as an opportunity because obviously Pumped Off Fun has been pretty popular and there's been meme coin platforms all across these different ecosystems, and we felt like Initia also needed one. Although, granted, we're not live on Initia yet, but as soon as mainnet is, the creator platform will be live there. But also, it kind of was very synergistic with what we're trying to do, because what we wanted to do was like really have a place to fully vet and test this liquidation-free leverage mechanism. And a big challenge with that is like, okay, like let's say we were listing Bonk. We need to go and like actually talk to Bonk LPs to get them to provide LP to allow you to borrow it to actually open up these LP or open up your margin positions. That problem kind of gets solved if we do a launch pad where once the token launches, a certain percentage of the overall liquidity that would get added to Radium actually is reserved for margin positions. So that was actually kind of the main driver behind making that decision, just making it easier to test limitless pools for these assets.
Perfect. Yeah, and you obviously answered another one there in that yes, you will be putting this product on Initia mainnet as well, which I am certainly looking forward to. I think there's a lot of synergy with the culture that we're building at Initia and this sort of fun and kind of DGen crowd. I think we'll appreciate that too.
I think at Blackwing we really like to move fast, and honestly, if Initia was ready to go, we would have been live there first. But we just felt like, okay, we want to get a product in the hands of users. Let's launch on Solana. It also gives us an opportunity to like test out the kinks, and then the product that ends up launching on Initia is like, you know, it's been like fully tested.
Yeah, I respect that. I think, you know, build first, ask questions later is always interesting tactic that I personally love in teams, to be honest with you. I think it takes a lot of balls to do it. It takes a lot of guts. But yeah, like I said, I totally agree with your decision to do it. I think, you know, you've had the testing ground now, you've ironed out the creases, and it just means that Initia gets a better product at the end of it. So no problem there at all. I'm happy to hear it. Speaking of Initia, why, you know, what influenced your decision to come and build here? You know, what is the main kind of talking points about that?
Main thing was, I think, talking to Zahn and Stan. I think we were one of the very first Initias that ended up joining, or like committing to Initia, and a large part of it was just like, you know, chatting with them and seeing how legit of a team they were and how much support that we were getting as a product. So that was probably the main contributing factor. Secondly, it's like, just from a development standpoint, like I've built on every single blockchain platform, Solana, Ethereum, Move, or Initia's approach to how quickly you can launch a chain was just by far the best that I've seen across everything, because not only do you get a choice in which VM you want to use, and VM wise, I'm definitely more partial to Move. I like it way better than Solana and way better than Solidity for EVM. And then in terms of just like actually spinning up your own chain and how hard it is, it was just with Initia, it's just honestly we don't even do it. It's someone else did it for us, and it's like ready to go, you know. But nowadays I hear it's like as easy as running a command. And then on top of that, from day zero, you get integration with like IBC, and you get integration with layer 0. I think those are all like big selling points for us. It's like, okay, we can like launch our own chain really quickly, and it's supported with this like really killer team. It's like a no-brainer.
I love hearing from like a team perspective, you know, why Initia. I think obviously that's very important for even retail investors to understand why, you know, like why are teams deciding to build here? Why do people care about Initia enough to to want to, because it's a big risk, right? It's a big decision to decide where you're going to launch, especially with Initia not even being on mainnet yet. There is obviously the added risk of that. So to hear from your perspective exactly the reasons why you and others in your position have echoed the exact same thoughts as well, I think it's super interesting, and I hope that the audience can really take that in, because when I say that Shamir is not the only person that has said that, right? There are so many teams that I've spoken to that have complemented this kind of architecture. This being able to spin up your own blockchain, spin up your own roll up underneath Initia. You've got enshrined liquidity, so you're sharing your security. Got all of these out of the box functions. Got all of these wallets that you can use and connect with to on ramp assets to your D app. You've got all of these different virtual machines that you can work with as well. I just think the scope of that will not be really understood until mainnet comes around, and I think you'll see why so much time has been spent on making it as easy as possible for these teams to come in and on board. Excuse me. So one thing that you didn't mention, which I would like to actually speak about now as well, is of course the VIP mechanism as well. I don't know if you have any thoughts about how that will be integrated into Blackwing itself, or just kind of maybe your general thoughts on the VIP mechanism as well, and how Blackwing and its users can benefit from it the most.
Yeah, we'll drop details about how users can kind of take advantage of VIP soon, but the main I think it's like probably one of the best things that a L1 or a platform has done is like actually incentivize the builders, not with just like grants, because then you just end up with like a bunch of copycats, but actually incentivize them to integrate with an incentive mechanism that directly makes you think more about like how users are interacting with the app, and then how you can build sort of this like flywheel where you can incentivize certain interactions in the app, and then ideally those interactions actually end up making the experience of the app better for other users, which obviously encourages other users to go in and like actually try it. That's the whole point of incentives. If you're just giving people incentives to like go and trade, eventually as soon as those incentives run out, you're like, okay, this is no longer like, I'm not going to do this anymore because I'm not getting the incentives. So what you really want to do is like build some sort of flywheel. I think just the VIP program actually helps encourage platforms or products to like think more about that. And I think that's definitely a plus. And then just the whole notion of making these teams actually work for incentives is, I think, the right way to go, rather than just giving them out for free for mercenary teams that are just going to deploy and like forget about what was deployed.
Yeah, I think we've seen how difficult that is to get right. There are a lot of different incentive mechanisms out there, and mechanisms in place to try and align all of the participants within an ecosystem. And a lot of them tend to fall flat. A lot of them, like you say, as soon as the incentives run out, they're either perma-dumped and hyperinflationary anyway. So you get this underlying token depreciation, which is never going to be good for your product or for your community or for your ecosystem. But I think you're right. I think this focus on, okay, we will give you incentives, and there are incentives there to be earned, but you as a team, you need to go and earn them. You need to make sure that your roll up is as active as possible, and has, for example, the most TVL on there, or the most activity, the most transactions, the most high value actions, we'll call them. And in reward for this, not only do you get some rewards for it, but your users do too. And then you have this positive flywheel where, you as a team, Blackwing, you're not incentivizing them, Initia, so therefore you can have your own incentive structure on top of that as well. So yeah, I think it's going to be interesting, right? It's going to be interesting to see how each team kind of builds around the VIP mechanism itself, and what exactly they decide to reward as well. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing that, especially from you guys as well. So yeah, I think we've had a nice talk about sort of why Blackwing. You know, what is Blackwing? Why should people care about it? And we've also now gone through, why have you decided to build on Initia and what was important to you in making those decisions. I would kind of like to now move on very slightly to community side of things, because obviously, look, we've got 155 people in this audience, and these are all hopefully Initia community members, and also hopefully some of them are Blackwing community members. But for those of them that aren't and have perhaps never ventured that side of the pond, what advice would you give them to new users that want to explore Blackwing for the first time?
Totally, yeah. So, I mean, the product is live right now. We have kind of two aspects to it. One is this deposit vault access component, where users can go and deposit a variety of assets, both on ETH mainnet and on Solana, and start earning BXP yield. A lot of people back when the LRTs were popping were doing like looping, where you can actually we allow people to deposit LRTs into the product, and then users would earn obviously the BXP, but then also they would earn the LRT points, and then they would also earn the Eigenlayer points underneath that. I think since Eigenlayer has already dropped their token, I don't know what the season two looks like, but that's still there that you could do. You can also deposit like meme coins and earn BXP. After that, we have the actual trading product, where you can go create your own token if you want, go trade an existing token with liquidation-free leverage. And then all trades there will obviously, it's not live accumulated, but will be factored into any sort of like future airdrop decision type situations. But the thing that I'm most excited about is actually something that we've been working on for the past couple of weeks. I've hinted at it. Won't tell you guys exactly what it is, but we basically wanted to solve the problem of discovery. There's a bunch of these coins that get launched, right? And we were going to list all of them, but then we realized, man, this is like a lot of stuff. How can we actually like filter this out to coins that are actually going to do well and that are not scams? So we built this really cool pipeline to help identify tokens using various mechanisms and filters, to kind of identify tokens that are obviously not scams, and then also that are expected to have a high amount of volatility. And then we want you to be able to trade that anywhere you are. And it doesn't matter if you're at home or if you're outside, we want you to be able to go and trade it. So those are the hints that I'm going to drop. And that will be launching really soon.
I was just gonna say, I need those filters. I've been getting rugged a lot recently, so I could do with those filters as well.
You wanna discover the next fart coin before it becomes fart coin, right?
Oh, don't even mention that coin. Oh, I've faded some serious generational wealth there. Isn't first time, right? This is crypto. You kind of get used to it after a while. But,
it's like that meme,
Thank you for that. Where was I? So community, if you would like to get involved, you've heard what Shamir has to say. I'm going to help as well to try and direct some of you over towards their channels. Sorry, that is my doorbell going. But I guess another question just on the community aspect, I like to ask this to all of the teams because they have different answers to it. But what role does the community have? Do they play in like the evolution of Blackwing going forwards?
I mean, the community are effectively like a community in crypto is like, it's a very crypto specific concept. In most other people or products that you go to, it's like, oh, like we want to talk about the customer, but really this is like the crypto's innovation. It's like, you're not the customer. It's not like a transactional relationship. You're actually part of the journey. And I think when you ask about like what role the community has, effectively it's like we're all building this experience that we want the community to be proud of, and for the community to use, and for the community to get other people to start using, so that they become part of the community. And it's again, I mentioned flywheel before. There's a natural flywheel here where, as the community gets stronger, it benefits everybody in the community, whether that's through direct product features. Like, for example, if we have a lot of community members using Blackwing, we can then say, oh, hey, by the way, these particular tokens seem to be bought more by the community than these other tokens. So these particular tokens are likely to be not scams, right? Because you can apply filtering on the wallets that are buying it and see if they've actually been associated with doing stuff on Discord, or if they've been like loyal community members that have been engaged and therefore like less likely to be bots. So that's an example of how, from the user's perspective, if the community is strong, the product becomes stronger, and then the entire user experience just becomes better. And then the other aspect, obviously, is like, okay, the bigger the community, you know, when there's like a token launch, that's like much more exciting and much bigger. So I would say those are like the two roles that end up being played.
Yeah, thank you for that. You said two very interesting things there that I'm going to kind of just expand upon. The whole, you know, in crypto, you aren't just a user, as you said, or you aren't just a customer. You are a real part of this journey, part of this startup journey, so to speak, as well. Especially, you know, you're seeing it now with Initia. You are part of the product before the product, and you get to see the growth from just ideation to mainnet to, you know, whatever comes next, right? And I think that gets lost on people that have been in this community, or sorry, in this industry for a long time, because that isn't the status quo, as you know. And it's also why I like to ask, you know, for example, the questions to begin with that I asked you, to actually get to know you as a person, because, you know, you can't do that in the traditional world. It's very difficult to get a hold of the people that are behind the companies, behind the businesses and the products that you use every day, or it can be anyway. So I think it's very useful and very valuable for people to know you as a person, especially, you know, we've been speaking to you now for 45 minutes. We know now that you're not, you know, you're a nice person. You're someone that's very easy to speak to and is very down to earth, and it's just like anyone else in this audience, right? So I think that is something that can't be understated. It's something that is very important, and I think everyone in here will definitely agree with that. And then the second thing as well, where you said, you know, as the community gets bigger, there is this kind of positive flywheel, forward-thinking effect on Blackwing. And I think this can be said for everything as well, even within Initia and within the layer twos that have built upon Initia. We are no bigger than those roll-ups and than the teams that have built within this ecosystem. And the bigger your community gets, the bigger our community gets, and vice versa. But I think the beauty of this as well is that, you know, you don't need the Initia community to build an effective product here. You can just have your own product and market it and be successful on your own, and therefore, off the back of the Initia community, become bigger and become greater because of it. But it's not, you know, there isn't this mutually exclusive communities where there is no overlap, but it doesn't have to be one or the other. We can grow them both completely isolated and introduce these communities to, or for example, the Initia community to Blackwing, like we're doing today, and vice versa. So I think that's quite powerful, and it's something that can't be kind of estimated before mainnet. But I think with all of these layer 2 interwoven roll-up teams building such successful products on mainnet and having them actually come to mainnet and people use them, I think the third order effects are going to be massive. And I do just see this community growing bigger and bigger every single day. So yeah, it's fucking exciting, man, right? It's a new year. It's going to be a new me, new year, new me, as they say.
New year, new us, you know, as community.
Exactly that. I mean, how excited are you for this, right? I think it's, you know, just to go off piece here, it is just so exciting. So I'd love to hear just what is the feeling in the camp? How are Blackwing feeling around all of this?
Oh, dude, we're incredibly excited. I think like for us, a lot of the excitement comes from giving products to the community that they can use and like actually enjoy. And so we're on the precipice of this like another big launch. Doing these launches is what excites us the most. Like we obviously we love like coming up with ideas and like talking about them, but like it's actually when you actually put your tires onto the ground, rubber onto the road, so to speak. It's like that's what's exciting, and we're so close to that that it's like where the excitement is definitely palpable within the team. And then obviously that excitement is going to grow once we approach Initia mainnet.
Fire. I can't wait to see it. I think that just the group chats that are going to be absolutely rattling off activity for the next couple of weeks and months is going to be wild. I'm glad that, you know, everyone gets a small little rest now over Christmas. We get to recoup, regenerate, and just hit this massively hard in the new year. That is all of the questions that I have for you, Shamil. If there are any, I mean, I know that there have been a lot of community questions so far. So if you did have further ones that haven't been answered now, because this is why I like to wait until the end. Sometimes we can answer them as we're just speaking. But if there are any further questions, I know that Fenrir is typing now. Just let me know in the chat, in the AMA chat, and we'll get them answered. I did see one question. I don't know how much you can say about this. But are you guys working on anything until mainnet launch? Like, what's next for you guys whilst this mainnet launch wait?
Yeah, so like I mentioned, we're getting ready for this like discovery feature, and that'll be launching hopefully within the next 2 weeks. But fingers crossed for that. But that's kind of the big thing that we're kind of focusing on in the interim.
Perfect. And if people wanted to get updates on this kind of thing, I guess the Twitter or the Discord are the best place for this.
Twitter and Discord, yeah, best place. You can go hang out with Autumn in Discord, or you can like our Blackpink tweets on Twitter.
Yeah, I've been seeing a lot of those. I've been liking that recently. Yeah, the other question I've seen. Sorry, Coco, I didn't mean to ignore you from before. But what Coco asks is, why are we accumulating BXP? You know, what is there any information on the future use of it, or you know, any sort of alpha that you can give there? I guess.
Yeah, so BXP is going to be like one of the main components when we think about like any future airdrop, and then more information about that comes when we once we're closer to Initia mainnet.
Perfect. I think that's the answer a lot of people were looking for sure. Now, Autumn, I am gonna ask it. If this is a setup, you know, I don't know what to say. But what Autumn has asked is, KP, can you please ask him what is the up dog feature?
I feel like maybe if this was a setup, I wasn't told what the prompt was going to be. Maybe she's referring to like which tokens are going up, dog. And then she's talking about the discovery feature.
I would love to hear that. I would love to hear.
That's actually a pretty good name. Yeah, I'm gonna trademark that. What's up, dog?
I like it.
That's the name of this section. Yeah.
Yeah, write that down. Autumn, you're not getting a mammoth for that suggestion. I'm just letting you know. Oh, did I even say that? Sorry. Oh wow, do you know what? I'm glad that I didn't, because there's 163 people here just for the Blackwing man. So I like that. But there will be at the end of this a mammoth NFT giveaway. I haven't actually decided how I'm gonna do it. I might just random number generate it between 1 and 162 and just have a look. No, not 69. I feel like that's, you know, we're beyond that now. Yeah, so I don't know if you.
Fartcoin just hit $1 billion in market cap. We're definitely not beyond it.
Yeah, you might be right. You might be right. I don't know if you've seen in the chat here as well, but they're loving the KP Diddy memes as well. So
nice.
I feel like we're definitely regressing as a species.
I actually think like next year, it'll be a really good Halloween costume. Like if you get a group of friends, like this year, I think it was a little bit too soon. But next year, if you get a group of friends, one friend dresses up as Diddy, and then everyone else dresses up as like a baby bottle of oil.
Nice. Yeah.
And it's great because you can have like it can adjust for like many friend groups. You can have up to 1,000 bottles of baby oil.
Is it racist to do a KP Diddy Halloween? I feel like I can't do the blackface, but how can you determine that I am P Diddy from my outfit?
I think you just got to capture the essence of it, you know.
I understand you completely, my friend.
Yeah. The essence definitely goes beyond skin color.
For sure.
Transcends.
He does. You know what? Many people have said. Look, a lot of bad stuff has come out about P Diddy, but one thing that you can't disagree with, that he transcends culture. He transcends skin color, and I'm glad that we could have this conversation because I feel like this is an important one. Someone requested to speak. I usually don't do that because, to be honest with you, whenever I invite people to speak, it just goes terribly wrong. I either cannot hear them, the microphones are terrible, or it's just someone accidentally clicking it. It looks like the chat has just descended into madness, which is, it's kind of what I was expecting. Will we build the launchpad on Initia Autumn? Yes, Shamir has mentioned that before during this call. We will have a token launchpad, which is going to be fire. We will have.
Yeah, if you want to launch a token on Initia, Blackwing's the place to do it.
Oh, there's going to be some crazy memes to come out of this, man.
I need that Jenny meme token, you know.
I'm kind of worried about the Jenny meme token.
And then obviously we need the KP Diddy token.
Well, then, yeah. See, this is why I am worried, because now I'm going to get quite competitive, and I will FUD Jenny. Can you imagine just, oh god, the FUD to come out of that? I actually might go to Seoul and just take like really bad and awkward photos of her, just to make sure that you know what she actually looks like. You know
Jenny. Yeah, I've seen her. Jenny, you need to catch her like deleting code or something.
Yeah.
And stage some pictures.
I'll be honest, Jenny. Look, I hold my hands up. I've been sitting on this information for a while, but it has been leaked to me from very reputable sources. I must say that Jenny is not from South Korea, but she is from North Korea. Now look, you didn't hear that from me.
Oh shit! Oh no!
You didn't hear that from me. But yeah, you were looking for some alpha today. She's the reason behind the martial law as well. She's a dangerous fucker, and that's why we've had to get rid of her. And she's actually not even around anymore. It's just a stunt double. So I'm glad that that's in the air now. I've been stressing about that for a while. So I'm glad that everyone knows the truth.
Damn.
Wow. What a way to end it, huh?
What a bombshell.
To end it. I haven't seen another question, so I think that we can end it on the fact that Jenny is an NK agent. And for real though, this has been great. This has been very interesting for me, especially. I knew a lot about Blackwing before, but I feel like this has elevated my knowledge as well. I hope that everyone listening has gathered something from this and gained a lot of information from it as well. I really would recommend checking out the Discords. I really would recommend checking out the Twitter as well. There's going to be a lot of good information to come out in the next few weeks, as Shamir has teased. On mainnet, I look forward to not losing my money with Blackwing, which is going to be great. Not getting liquidated.
Inshallah, friend.
Inshallah. And yeah, just again, a massive thank you to you, Shamir, for your time today. I really do appreciate you coming out here for us. And yeah, I don't know if you had any sort of closing words before I give the mammoth NFT away.
No, that's all, man. Thanks for having me. Always a good time to hang out with the Initia community. Hopefully some of you guys become part of the Blackwing community as well. And I'll see you see you guys on mainnet.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Now I've thought of a way that we can do the mammoth giveaway, and that is, I need you in the AMA chat to spam exactly this. I'm gonna write it in the chat so you're ready. I need you to spam Jenny is an NK agent. Spam it as much as you can. Keep going. And at some point in the next 15 seconds, my mouse is going to stop on one of your names. And you will be, oh my God, this is going wild. Hey, no cheating, no cheating. I don't want any blocks of text. Any blocks of text, you're getting banned from the competition. One line only. All right. Oh, I'm so ready. I'm not going to tell you when I'm going to do it. All right, I've done it. My friend. Okay, you can stop now. You can stop.
I don't
Yeah,
think
everyone's
it's gonna stop. You've
it's
created
never
that.
going to stop. Yeah, this is okay. I want to see it at least spill into the Twitter now as well. But where are you? Tsukuyomi, my friend. Oh, message could not be loaded. But congratulations, Tsukuyomi. I will be sending you a DM afterwards. I'll get your wallet address from it and have a chat with Zonathan, who's going to be sending it afterwards. But yeah, that's our hour done. That's our AMA done. That's our spaces, Twitter, Discord, anything, whatever you want to call it. Again, massive thank you to Shamir. Thank you for your time. I would love to do this again with you, maybe a couple of weeks down the line before mainnet, perhaps. Once you've got the discovery feature out. 160 people here. Thank you very much for joining. Thank you for taking the time on a Friday to come and have a chat with me and Shamir. And Senor Bad Friend, I will allow you to have your crescendo as always. The man, the myth, the legend. I have ended these spaces before without giving him his time to shine, so I will make sure that I don't do that this time. I can see him laughing. I know it's him laughing. But yeah, no, thank you very much for coming, guys, and I really do appreciate it.
Awesome. Thanks for having me. It was a pleasure.